Hello everyone. Tonight we're going to visit a village that doesn't exist on most maps, but somehow knows your name when you arrive. The fog doesn't lift there, not in the morning, not ever, and the locals speak like people who've been told not to. There's a house that sits crooked on a slope,
older than anyone who remembers building it.
People say it whistles when you walk past, especially if you used to wear robes. You probably won't survive if you stop and listen too long. So before you get comfortable,
take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what
I'm doing here. Post your location and local time. I love knowing where and when you're listening. Now turn off the lights, maybe turn on the fan for some soft noise.
And let's get started tonight.
You're shuffling down a dirt road that smells like mushrooms and cold iron. The air feels like it's pressing against your arms, thick,
slow, heavy with mist.
You don't remember why you came here, just that the village was mentioned once in a very old forum post. The kind written in lowercase with a broken link to a map that didn't load. Raukstein, the name said. Don't go in October. It's October. You're definitely going. The town sign is carved into wood, so old it seems petrified. Letters burned in with a crooked brand. Raukstein. Population. Blank. You don't see any numbers, just a faint ghost of where one used to be. The first house is made of stones stacked like forgotten dishes.
Moss drips from the roof.
A man sitting on a low stool watches you, whittling a spoon down to nothing. He doesn't speak. Morning, you say, voice soft. He nods once.
Keeps carving.
The dirt path curves inward like it's shy. Trees lean in close, wearing moss like robes. You walk. Every third step makes a soft squelch. A black cat with 3 legs trots past you, tail like a plume.
Doesn't look at you, just hums almost.
Is humming a thing cats do? Weird fact, ancient Romans believed cats could speak if you asked. Nicely enough under a full moon. That never made it into the textbooks. You pass the village inn, shutters closed. A chair on the porch that rocks gently, even though there's no breeze. There's a chalkboard sign near the door. Soup.
That's it.
No price, no description. Just soup. You don't go in. Instead, you head toward the place no one talks about, the East Ridge, where the trees stop pretending to be friendly. You remember reading somewhere, possibly on a napkin, possibly in your own dream, that this town had a road once used by traveling monks. They came through quietly, in pairs, never staying past dusk.
And then one day they just didn't.
No one mentions them now, which is strange because there's a statue of one in the square.
A figure in robes holding a bell in one hand and something like a fern in the other.
There's no plaque, just his face, smiling but not kindly.
Not at all.
You try to ask someone about it. An older woman with flour on her sleeves shrugs and mutters, "That's not a real monk, that's just a carving."
Nobody real looked like that.
The grocery shop. If you can call a place that sells 6 onions and a basket of buttons. A grocery is run by a man with a bandaged thumb and the voice of someone who
smokes out of boredom. Monks, he says?
Nah, not for years. They had a path, used to go past the old house.
You don't want to walk that way.
Why not, you ask.
He sucks air through his teeth.
The house whistles. You wait. That's all I'll say. That night, you rent a room in the upstairs of a building that might have once been a school, judging by the faint numbers on the walls. The mattress is thin and smells like lemon soap and cold toast. You can't sleep. Around 2:40 a.m., you hear it. A faint, low whistle. Just 3 notes.
High, higher, low.
You sit up.
Nobody else stirs in the hallway.
No footsteps, no door creaks. Just that whistle coming from the trees beyond the ridge. Now, historically, monks traveling through Eastern Europe often relied on a system of coded whistles to alert others in their group. Some scholars think they borrowed this practice from mountain shepherds in northern Greece who still whistle to communicate across valleys. But this whistle doesn't sound like a signal. It sounds like a taunt.
You don't go back to sleep.
You wait until dawn and head out early, passing the man on the porch again. This time,
he's whittling a different spoon.
Same blank stare. Where's the old house? You ask. He jerks his chin toward the trees, the ones no one likes.
Just past the prayer stones.
Prayer stones? He squints at you like you're asking what water is. You'll know. The air gets colder the deeper you go. Leaves crunch under your boots, some dry, some oddly wet. You spot the stones about a mile in, 5 of them, all tilted slightly backward.
Like they're leaning away from something.
They've been carved, but the symbols are worn into almost smooth curves.
One looks like a jaw, another like a key.
One might be a teardrop, but sideways.
That's when you see it.
The house. Slate grey, sagging in the middle like a shrug. Chimney like a snapped bone.
And the door's still half open.
There's no path anymore. Just moss and memory. You walk closer. And right when you step past the last stone, it happens again.
A whistle, high, higher, low.
The door creaks.
Not open, just creaks. And every hair on your arms rises like it's trying to tell you something in Morse code.
You don't mean to step backward, but you do. Just a little. Just enough for your heel to land back in moss. It squishes like wet bread. The whistle's still echoing, faint now, like someone remembered it wrong, and is humming it under their breath. The house in front of you is more slumped than it seemed from the ridge. The roof's bowing inward like it's tired of keeping secrets. A shutter on the top floor hangs by a single rusted nail, ticking slightly in the wind, or maybe that's something else ticking.
Something inside.
You glance back at the 5 stones behind you. The sideways teardrop stone seems closer.
You don't remember stepping past it.
Then again, you don't remember half your walk here, which is weird because you remember everything else.
Like the way that cat hummed.
Or the way the statue in the village had too many teeth. You decide to move forward, not because it's smart, but because turning around feels worse.
Like if you turn your back on this house, it might suddenly remember how to run.
You take the first step toward the porch. It's soft, not the wood, your bones. As you walk, you notice the road that used to be here, stone fragments buried under roots. A path that once connected the house to something else. Maybe to the monastery you heard about. Maybe just to the rest of the village, back when this place wasn't allergic to being remembered. Now quick history detour. Monks in the 1600s were known to walk strict, silent paths between abbeys. Some even had punishment routes, paths. They'd walk blindfolded to reflect on their sins. One of these is recorded in a Jesuit manuscript found in a town just 3 hours from here. It mentioned a road between pine and bone, travelled only in absolution. You're starting to wonder if this is that road. The porch groans under your weight.
Not dramatically, just a polite protest.
The door's open enough that you don't need to touch it. You peek inside.
Dust.
Not the kind that gently coats things like forgotten frosting.
This is aggressive dust. Fluffy, weightless.
Floating in the air like it's alive and curious about your intentions. The hallway is crooked. It bends like someone tried to straighten it once and gave up halfway. There's wallpaper peeling in long curls, revealing a second layer underneath. This one has little dancing monks printed on it. Not stylized.
Not cartoony.
Just monks. Walking, walking, walking. Every one of them facing left. You close the door behind you.
Instant quiet.
Too quiet. Even the birds outside seem to have changed their minds. You walk slowly through the hall. A portrait hangs at eye level. A man in robes, eyes scratched out. Nothing else about the frame is disturbed. Just the eyes. Classic horror move, you think?
A little on the nose.
The kitchen's to the left. You glance in. A rusted kettle sits on the stove. There's no dust on it. Just the kettle. Clean as sin.
That seems wrong.
You hear something above you.
Not footsteps, just
The sense of weight shifting. Maybe the house breathing. Maybe a squirrel with an unfortunate hobby. You head back outside. And that's when you meet the first local.
who actually speaks to you without looking through you like glass.
She's short, wrapped in a shawl that looks handmade, but not by hands that liked her. Her hair is in a neat braid, pinned with a toothpick. "You shouldn't be here," she says.
Accent thick, but her English is crisp.
Like she learned it from angry BBC radio hosts. You give your usual line. "Just passing through." "No one passes through Raugstein," she says.
They stop.
Then they stay. She glances past you toward the house. Doesn't quite make eye contact with it. "You heard the whistle?" You nod. She sighs, loudly, dramatically, like a teacher being handed yet another My Dog Ate It essay. That house used to face a road, she says. Monks passed it twice a week. They always whistled. Small tune, 3 notes.
Part of their prayers.
They did it to keep demons confused. Did it work? You ask, because apparently you're a sitcom character now. She raises a brow.
Did it?
Fair enough. Why did they stop coming? She nods toward the hills. Monastery burned. Some say lightning. Others say something walked in and sang in a voice that wasn't its own.
You don't ask her what she believes.
She invites you to her home, small, stone-shaped, like a question mark. Inside it smells like soup and old wood. A kettle whistles, not the same way though. This whistle sounds like comfort,
not like temptation. Over tea, she tells you about her brother.
Walked that path every day, she says. Loved the old songs, said he could still hear them in the trees. Then one day, he went to visit the house, said he wanted to map it, write a paper. And?
He came back different, she says, stirring sugar that isn't there. Hey, quieter.
Like he'd left something behind and wasn't sure if he missed it. You wait. Then one night, he walked the path again, said he heard someone whistle back. He laughed about it, said it felt like an echo with opinions. You sip your tea. It tastes like cloves and regret. He didn't come back the second time, she finishes. And no one looked for him, you ask?
Of course we did, she says.
We even found him.
Alive?
She shrugs. He was smiling, just smiling. Wouldn't speak.
Wouldn't eat.
Just walked the path again.
Over and over.
You realize you're gripping the edge of your teacup hard enough to hurt. She pats your hand.
You're not from here.
But the house doesn't care.
It just wants listeners.
Outside, the wind stirs. The trees hum, and far in the distance, fainter than before, but still sharp, you hear the whistle again.
You don't remember falling asleep in her home, but when you wake up, it's still dark. Early. The kind of dark that doesn't hint at morning, just more dark. The kind that feels permanent. The kind that remembers things. You're on a low cot near the stove, blanket tucked around you, your boots neatly placed beside your feet. You never untied them. She must have done it. Which means she was close. Close enough to know you talk in your sleep. Maybe close enough to hear what you said. You stand up quietly, avoiding the creaky spot in the wood floor, which somehow you already know is by the door, and step outside. The village is still asleep. Or pretending. A goat tied to a crooked fence watches you go. Doesn't bleat. Just stares. Like it knows you're going back. You walk slowly toward the path again, passing the same mossy trees, the same leaning stones. But something's shifted. The stones look shinier, wetter, and the teardrop symbol now faces the other way. You're sure of it. Then again, you were sure cats didn't hum, and now you're not. The house doesn't whistle this time. It's waiting. You step inside again. Same dust, same air. Same smell, burned sage and something under it. Something that smells like iron left too long in the mouth. But now there's a sound. Not the whistle. Something softer. A whisper, a radio. You move closer. It's coming from upstairs. Now this is the part where you remember the rule you made for yourself back in 2018. After that one Airbnb in Croatia with the basement that shouldn't have had power. Never go up or down in a haunted place. Stay flat, stay safe. But you're already at the bottom of the stairs. So of course you go up. Each step moans like it's rehearsed for a school play. Halfway up you feel it. Cold air, sudden and sharp. Like the kind of cold that wraps around a knee injury and says, "Remember me?" You glance down. Your shoelace is untied. Weird. The top of the stairs opens into a hallway with 4 doors. 2 left, 2 right. One of them is slightly ajar, revealing a glimpse of red wallpaper. You go for the furthest one instead, because you've watched movies and you know how this works. It's a bedroom, small, sparse. The bed is made, which is more alarming than if it weren't. A thick coat of dust sits on the pillow, undisturbed. There's a small desk near the window with a black feather on it. You pick it up. It's warm. Behind you, one of the doors creaks shut. You spin around, nobody there. Just the same crooked hallway. You step into the next room. This one smells different, like wax. Not candle wax, earwax, you know the difference. You wish you didn't. There's a chair facing a corner. A monk's robe draped neatly over the back. Beneath it, old sandals. You approach. The robe still holds the shape of shoulders. But there's no one in it.
You glance around. No signs of staging, no mannequins, no fishing wire. Just the robe, sitting like the person inside it left too fast and their fabric forgot.
And then another sound.
This time not from above.
From below.
The whistle.
High, higher, low.
You freeze.
It's inside the house.
You step backward. The floor creaks louder than before.
Almost like a shout.
From the hallway, something moves past the doorframe.
A shape. Too quick to see, but not quick enough to ignore.
You hold your breath. When you step out again, nothing's there. All doors open now.
All waiting.
You take the stairs back down, fast, but not running. Running is for when things chase you. This place doesn't chase. It invites. Back in the front hallway, you notice a new detail, a groove in the wooden floor near the fireplace, like something heavy was dragged. The trail leads into a side room you didn't notice before. Door barely there, blends into the wall.
You push it open. It's a small study, bookshelf, empty chair.
Desk drawer half open. You kneel and pull it the rest of the way out. Inside is a small wooden box. You lift the lid. Inside, a bone whistle.
White, perfect, with a cord that looks like braided hair. You touch it.
And suddenly the air shifts.
A low pressure.
Your ears pop even though you're not moving. And then behind you, a voice.
Don't try it.
It'll call you back. You turn. The widow is standing in the doorway. No shawl this time. She looks taller somehow.
You shouldn't be here alone, she says.
A house remembers better when it's quiet. You hold up the whistle. She winces.
That's not for blowing.
That's for listening. Whose was it, you ask? She doesn't answer right away. Walks in, places a hand on the fireplace mantel. It belonged to my brother, she says. The second one. You blink.
I thought you had one brother. I did, she says, until I didn't.
She turns to look at you. Have you heard the floorboards yet? You nod slowly. She presses her lips together.
Then it's starting. What is?
The remembering. You tuck the whistle into your coat pocket, which feels both deeply wrong and unavoidable. She leads you outside.
Stands with you on the porch.
Don't come back without salt, she says. And don't answer unless you're sure it's your name. You glance at her. What does the house want? She shrugs. Same thing we all do. To be seen, to be heard, and maybe to be forgiven. The wind picks up. The trees rustle like dry applause, and the house behind you makes a faint, wheezing sound.
Not quite a whistle.
More like a breath, or a memory exhaling. You're not sure how long you stand there, staring back at the house.
It doesn't blink, doesn't move, doesn't even creak anymore. It just waits.
The widow's gone when you turn, vanished into the trees or into one of the folds of time. This place seems to bend around like steam around a kettle. You don't call out. You don't want to know if she'll answer with the right voice. You take the long path back to the village.
It's still quiet.
Still frozen in that pre-dawn hush. One window has a lamp flickering, oil, not electric. You pass it without looking in. You get the feeling the people here prefer it that way. You sit on the bench near the old well, flipping the bone whistle over in your hands.
It's heavier now.
Heavier than a whistle should be. You don't blow it, but you do hold it up to your ear.
And you swear for just a moment you hear breathing.
The widow said it was for listening. You start jotting notes in the little leather journal you've kept since college. The one with the broken elastic band and the faded sticker that says, "Property of the living." The pages are filled with everything from bizarre street names to overheard conversations in diners at 3 a.m. This is where you capture what doesn't want to be captured. You sketch the whistle. You draw the teardrop-shaped grave marker. You even try to recreate the robe that held itself up without anyone inside. When the sun finally rises, it does so half-heartedly.
Like it's not sure it wants to bother.
Now, since we're here, quick fact, in many parts of Eastern Europe, especially in rural regions, the sun rising too slowly was once considered a sign of spiritual imbalance. Farmers in certain areas of Carpathia would ring bells or burn juniper branches to speed it up, believing evil things lingered in long dawns. There's no record of this working.
But there is a record of it being done repeatedly.
After nights of mass sleepwalking. Speaking of sleepwalking, that's what you feel like now. You wander the edge of the village, barely blinking, half in a dream. You're headed toward the little chapel you saw from the hill. It's less a chapel and more a shed with holy ambitions. The door's unlocked, The inside empty except for a wooden cross and a bundle of dried lavender tied with string. There's a note on the wall in faded ink. It's in Old Church Slavonic, but someone scribbled a translation underneath. If you hear the monks walking, do not follow. If they call your name, do not speak. If they stop at your door, do not open even for prayer. You sit on the single bench. Let the morning drip through the dusty window.
That's when it happens.
A knock? Not on the chapel door.
On your thoughts.
You feel it, a mental knock. Just 3 taps behind the eyes. The kind of knock dreams make when they want back in. And then for the first time, you remember something you didn't know you'd forgotten. You have been here before.
Once, briefly, maybe 10 years ago.
Maybe longer. You passed through with a friend, a hiker, with too much optimism and a waterproof map. You stayed a night in a village near here. You remember bread, a cracked fountain,
And a song that played on a radio in a language you didn't know.
but hummed along to anyway.
And a house. Not this house.
But a house.
One that whistled back when you sang by accident.
You snap out of it with a jolt.
That memory isn't real. Or is it?
Historians still debate whether collective false memory can account for mass hallucinations tied to locations. There's the famous 1903 case in Altmünster, where dozens of people remembered attending a funeral for someone who hadn't died yet and then did. 3 days later, the theories ranged from mold exposure to time slippage to, my personal favorite, ghost rehearsal. You leave the chapel with a creeping feeling in your gut.
Not fear. Not exactly.
More like static, like you're not tuned to the right version of the world. You stop by the widow's house again, but she's not there. The door is open.
The inside neat.
Tea still warm on the table.
As if she'd just stepped out to grab something from the garden.
And then remembered something better. You decide not to stay. You pack a bag at your rented room. Notebook, flashlight, the whistle in its pouch.
A small pouch of salt from the kitchen.
You leave a few coins on the counter. Not because anyone asked, but because it feels polite. And you've started to think politeness matters more than logic out here. You head back to the path. It's broader now. You'd swear it widened. The moss has receded, just enough to show the bones of the old road. Stones smoothed by centuries. You follow it to the house. This time, it lets you in without a sound.
You light a candle.
It flares too quickly, but doesn't go out. You sit in the entryway, cross-legged, the whistle in your lap.
And then you try something. You hum.
Soft, just a 3-note tune.
Nothing elaborate.
Just the same one the monks might have used. Nothing happens for a moment.
Then you hear it.
From upstairs, the same tune, repeated.
Wrong.
1 note off. Just enough to make your teeth feel itchy. You hum again. The reply comes quicker this time. From a different part of the house. You realize it's not echoing you. It's responding. You do it a 3rd time. No reply. Only the faint shuffle of robes. And then a voice, not in your head, not in the air, but in the wood. You early?
You stand.
The candle flickers, then steadies. You follow the sound into the hallway. And the floorboards, each one, sigh as you step.
Not creak.
Not groan.
Sigh.
Like the house is relieved or disappointed. There's a moment, right, as you pass the threshold into the narrow corridor, where you feel something shift.
Not in the house, in you.
Your spine straightens a little too much, like your body is remembering posture rules you've never learned. Your breath slows to a monk-like rhythm, and you realize your hand is resting over the pouch where the whistle waits.
You're not walking anymore. You're gliding. Down the hallway.
Past pictures that weren't there before. You stop.
'Cause this one?
It looks like you. Not exactly, but enough. A black and white photograph, browned at the corners.
A figure in the background, slightly blurred, standing beside someone in a long robe.
The background is familiar. Same porch, same crooked shutters. Your face isn't clear, but the stance, the tilt of the head, even the shoes, they could be yours. You lean closer. Someone's written a name on the photo's edge. Joseph. You don't know a Joseph, but now you do.
And that's when it clicks. The monks.
You turn the corner and enter a room that wasn't there a second ago. No doors opened, no hinges creaked, but now you're in a circular chamber with shelves that spiral up the walls, each crammed with strange objects, preserved herbs, broken quills, little cloth dolls with stitched X's for eyes. In the center is a stone basin filled not with water but old coins. And under the surface, something darker moves.
You don't lean in.
You're learning. Instead, you take a step back and step onto something that crunches. Not wood, not glass. Paper. You look down. It's a page torn from your notebook. But the handwriting isn't yours. Do not listen after the fourth knock. Do not speak to your echo. It's written 3 times, each in a slightly different ink, as if someone rewrote it over and over to remember. You turn the page over. A list. Salt. Candle. Whistle. Name in blood. Door unlocked. You've got most of that, except the last 2. You swallow hard. Taste something metallic. A breeze moves through the room, though there are no windows. It smells like whetstone and time left out in the rain. In the center of the room, a trap door appears.
No fanfare.
No illusion.
Just there.
And on it, carved deep, confess before entry.
You crouch. Run your hand across the wood. It's warm.
You whisper, I don't know what I'm confessing. And the trap door opens, not violently, gently, like it agrees. You descend the ladder slowly, the candle held in front of you. The air is thick, sweet and rotten, like incense over something dead. The ladder ends in a small tunnel, bricked on both sides, arched, just high enough to stand in, barely. You walk, the floor squishes. You don't want to know why. You reach the end of the passage. Another door, iron, ancient, rusted so beautifully it looks painted.
There's no handle.
Just a small hole at eye level, and next to it, etched into the wall in shallow lines. Name the one who forgot you. You blink.
It's absurd.
Then it's obvious.
You whisper, Joseph.
The door clicks, swings inward. The room beyond is round.
Another circle.
But this one's darker, lined with tall candles that never melt. In the center is a platform.
On it, a single wooden chair. And sitting in it, you, not now you, then you.
Wearing your hiking clothes from that trip, you half remember. Backpack slung over one arm. Notebook half open on your lap. Head tilted, eyes blank. You step forward slowly. The version of you doesn't look up, but the lips move. About time. You freeze. You now says nothing. You then chuckles. You left me here, he says. You walked out and forgot the cost. You try to speak.
It comes out like a cough.
He looks up.
And his eyes are wrong. Too wide, too awake.
I paid the toll, he says, so you could leave. Took my name and left yours behind. You shake your head.
That's not how it works.
But the room disagrees. The candles flicker like laughter. He stands. It is now. He reaches into his coat, your coat, and pulls out the bone whistle. Blows it. You don't hear a sound, but you feel it. In your ribs.
In your teeth.
In the space just behind your thoughts.
And then footsteps. Above.
Coming down the tunnel.
Robed. Steady. Not hurried.
The monks are coming. You grab the whistle from your pocket. Theirs is whole. Yours is cracked. You didn't notice before, but there's a fracture running along the side. Barely visible, but enough. Enough to let the sound in or out.
You raise it.
You hesitate, and then you grins. Don't worry. You'll remember this part soon. He vanishes. Not disappears, just ceases to be. The clothes fall empty.
And your hands?
Are covered in salt. The salt burns. Not like fire, more like shame. Old forgotten shame that clings to your skin like damp laundry. You try to wipe it off on your pants, but it doesn't move. Just settles in deeper like it belongs. You don't have time to panic. The footsteps are getting closer.
1, 2, pause. 1, 2, pause.
Whoever or whatever is coming knows exactly how to build dread.
You're half expecting a slow chant to start any moment, just to set the mood.
You duck behind the empty chair. Because sure, hiding behind furniture has always worked in horror stories.
But it's all you've got.
A shadow slides along the edge of the tunnel entrance.
No face, no eyes.
Just the outline of a figure wrapped in something that shifts between fabric and smoke.
And then another. And another.
3, each taller than the last. They don't enter the room. They lean into it like curious dogs sniffing at the air. You hold your breath. The whistle is still in your hand, still cracked. You risk a glance at it. The fracture has grown. You could wedge a fingernail in it now.
It looks like it's been gnawed open from the inside. And this is the part that really bothers you. It's warm.
The tallest monk finally steps through the threshold. His robe sways as if moved by wind, but the air is perfectly still. His feet make no sound. You think he might be floating, but you're too afraid to check. He raises one hand.
A long fingerless limb with joints in the wrong places.
In it he holds a single object.
A key.
Iron. Old, worn smooth by centuries of regret. He sets it on the stone floor in front of him, then vanishes into the tunnel again, as do the other two. Just like that. No smoke, no teleportation. Just gone. You wait.
5 seconds.
10.
Nothing.
You inch forward. Grab the key. It hums. Not musically. More like electricity in a too-quiet building. You pocket it. The salt on your hands vanishes the second it touches the key. Gone like a sin finally confessed. Which, now that you think about it, is very concerning. You exit the chamber, retracing your steps, except the tunnel has changed. It's narrower now, curving in ways that shouldn't be possible. Sometimes you're walking upright, sometimes sideways.
Once you swear, the floor becomes the wall.
Gravity disagrees with your memory. And all the while, the whistle pulses in your hand like a second heartbeat. You finally stumble out into a small courtyard. You recognize it, sort of.
It's the house.
Or a house, but it's inverted, like someone folded it inside out and made it a garden. Stone paths wind around flower beds filled with plants you don't recognize. Dark, glossy leaves that twitch when you pass. Blossoms that smell like forgotten birthdays. There's a fountain in the center, and sitting at its edge is the widow. She's younger now, or maybe she never aged to begin with. Her hair is long, her eyes unclouded, and she's humming the same 3-note tune from before. You walk toward her, and she stops humming mid-note. "Found it, did you?" she asks, not looking up. You don't answer. She gestures at the fountain. They used to wash their feet here.
The monks
Before walking the village.
kept the water clean with coins.
You glance in.
It's full of iron keys.
Just like the one you picked up. She finally looks at you. "Do you know why the house whistles?" You shake your head. She smiles.
It forgets.
Every 100 years or so, it forgets who it is. Starts singing for help. The monks come to remind it. You ask, "Why me?" Her smile fades. You volunteered. "A long time ago."
Maybe in another life.
She points at your pocket. At some point, you ask the house to remember something for you.
Something you couldn't carry anymore.
The whistle's part of that deal. You ask, "What did I forget?" She tilts her head. "If I told you, would you believe me?"
Try me.
She leans close. "You murdered someone." Pause. "But only metaphorically. You abandoned a piece of yourself here. Buried it so deep even time couldn't find it. That's what people do in houses like this. Leave behind versions of themselves they don't want to keep." She stands, brushes off her skirt, which is made of something that shifts like smoke. Most people don't come back for them. She walks away, fading into the hedges. You sit at the fountain. Let the idea marinate. It's not guilt you feel. It's recognition. That same slow-motion awareness you feel when seeing an old friend across the street and realizing, too late, that you never said goodbye. The fountain whispers.
Not in words. In memories.
You see yourself younger, sitting at the base of a tree, writing, talking to a friend who wasn't there. You see yourself older.
Crying into a pillow, whispering someone's name.
And you see a door.
Always the door.
The same one from the trapdoor. The one in your dreams.
The one in the picture.
The key in your pocket throbs. You follow the garden paths to a stone arch at the far edge. There it is. The door, standing alone with no frame, just suspended in open space. It's locked. You already know the key fits. But you wait. You take one last look behind you. The house sighs. Just once. A release. A reminder. You slide the key in. Turn it. The door opens inward, and for a moment all you see is blackness. Then a candle flares, and you step through. You step through the door, and the first thing that hits you is the smell. Not rot, not mold, no, this is something far stranger, like dust soaked in perfume. like books that cried themselves to sleep. The room is narrow.
Taller than it is wide.
It feels like a bell tower, but there's no bell, just silence, stretched too thin. Walls rise above you in uneven stone spirals, tapering off into an impossible point. Light doesn't behave properly here. It trickles down from somewhere above, slow and syrup-thick, coloring everything in candle gold shadows.
And in the center, a table. On it, a red velvet book.
Your name is embossed on the cover, not carved, not printed, embroidered, each letter threaded with something that shimmers in the
flicker light.
You don't want to guess what material it is. You already suspect it's not legal in most countries. You move toward it, heartbeat steady now.
Not calm, resigned.
The kind of stillness that comes from realizing you've already gone too far back to be safe. You flip it open. First page, a drawing, crude, charcoal, a house on a hill.
Smoke curling from the chimney. Trees that lean away from it like they're whispering secrets to each other.
Second page, a name. Josef Malenko. Apprentice bell ringer. 1312. You know that name. Now you remember.
A real person. Not a monk. A servant.
Worked in the monastery of St. Senedella, a
ruined outpost.
Somewhere in what's now rural Slovakia. You'd read about him once while doom scrolling through abandoned church forums.
A footnote in a dusty chronicle.
Went missing one winter. The last record described him, walking out into the snow carrying a copper whistle and a candle. You flip faster. Each page is someone. Elsa Ravino, France, 1689. Candlemaker's widow, drowned beneath her own cellar floor. Reverend Alan Darnes, Massachusetts, 1867.
Former pastor.
Heard laughter in the baptismal font.
Vanished mid-sermon.
Page after page, all the same pattern. A simple job, a final impossible act.
A vanishing.
And every single one ends with a phrase stamped at the bottom.
Heard the house whistle.
You reach the last page. It's blank, but only for a second. Then writing appears, ink blooming like spilled thoughts.
Name withheld.
Your penance has not yet been paid. Below that, a single line. Do you wish to remember what you gave away? There's no yes, no box.
No instruction.
Just a pen lying next to the book.
You stare at it.
Of course it's a fountain pen, brass, engraved with faint, swirling shapes that hurt your eyes if you look too long. You pick it up. You hesitate. And then you write, yes. The book shuts itself. The tower room groans. Not like stone shifting, more like something awakening. The light dims. The air thickens. From behind the walls, if they are walls, you hear bells. Tiny ones, not ringing, spinning. Thousands of them in every direction, like insects trapped in jars.
And then shoes.
Footsteps above, circling down the spiral shaft you hadn't noticed before. Wood tapping against stone, deliberate, rhythmic, patient.
You should run.
Instead, you sit down.
Not in defeat, in ceremony.
The chair behind the table is made of twisted oak, ancient, heavy with memory. You sink into it like someone finishing a loop. The figure descending is tall,
lank,
wearing robes the color of faded photographs. He stops just short of you.
Face hooded.
In his hand a bell, small, handheld, but the moment he lifts it, it feels cathedral-sized.
He rings it once, and the room goes backwards.
Not literally.
Not in time.
But in shape. The walls fold in, the ceiling breathes down, and your memories rise up like foam. You're 5 and crying under a desk during a thunderstorm. You're 12, lighting a candle you weren't supposed to have. You're 22, looking at a house listing that feels too familiar.
And you're now, again, but something's different.
You can see him now, Josef, sitting across from you.
Not a ghost, not a memory, just a man. Worn, kind, too many stories in his eyes.
He says, you weren't supposed to come back. You say, I didn't know I'd left. He nods. That's how the house works. He gestures to the air around you. It's not cursed. It's not evil.
It's confused.
You blink. He continues. It collects things, moments, people, promises. When it forgets too much,
it whistles, and someone hears it.
You ask, so what now? He leans forward. You can leave, but not with everything. You get one piece back. The rest stays. You understand? Somehow? The whistle. The salt.
The names.
This was a vault all along. You ask, what did I give away? Yosef smiles. You gave away your guilt. That night by the lake. You remember? And now you do.
The argument.
The shove. The stillness. The silence. Your friend's jacket caught on the rocks.
You ran. You forgot. On purpose. And the house kept it for you.
You press your hand to your chest. It aches. Yosef places something in front of you.
A single candle. Unlit.
You want it back?
Light it.
You pick it up. The wick is blackened. It remembers fire. You whisper an apology that no one hears and strike a match. The match flares in your fingers, brief, bright, accusatory. It's hot enough to singe the tips, and for 1 second you hesitate.
'Cause lighting the candle feels final.
Like closing a lid or saying a name that hasn't been spoken in decades. But you do it. The flame catches.
It doesn't flicker, it leans. Like it's listening.
Like it knows your voice even if you haven't spoken yet. The whole tower sighs in response. The walls ripple. The spiral above glows faintly, as if moonlight had been waiting just outside, patiently biding its time.
And then you're somewhere else. Not transported, just redirected. As if the room blinked.
And the blink changed everything. You're standing at the edge of a frozen lake. It's night. The moon is swollen and orange like a bad omen wrapped in a pretty filter. Your reflection ripples in the thin ice.
Fractured in all the places you'd rather not admit.
Behind you a forest murmurs. In front of you a shape.
Small, curled. You know what it is. You've been here before. This is the night.
The one you traded. The one you asked the house to keep.
And this time, you don't look away.
You walk closer. Each footstep cracks ice that doesn't break. Every sound echoes longer than it should.
The snow here doesn't fall, it just waits.
When you reach the shape, you finally see her face.
Maris.
God, she looks young. You forgot how young.
Her hair is still in that lazy ponytail she used to do when she didn't care about class.
Her hands are curled around her ribs, not in pain, just in surprise. You kneel. The whistle's in your hand again.
Whole this time, untarnished.
You press it to your lips. Don't blow, just breathe. And from the forest behind you, something groans, branches cracking, not footsteps, roots. Something ancient and awful and inevitable dragging itself toward the lake. You don't look. You just say her name. Maris? Her eyes flicker.
Not open, not alive, just aware.
The flame on your candle wavers, and you feel it, choice. Not in words, not in instructions. Just raw, uncut possibility humming under your skin. You can stay, or you can leave. If you stay, the house will take you.
Not as punishment, as a keepsake.
Like Maris, like Joseph, like the widow, like every other page in that red velvet book. If you leave, the house lets go of Maris, finally, fully. Her death becomes real again, permanent, unblurred, but her memory becomes yours again too.
No more forgetting.
No more silence. You speak into the ice. I'm sorry I ran. The flame snaps forward, and the lake cracks.
Not violently.
Just enough to release whatever was caught beneath it.
His sound escapes the ice. It's not a scream, it's laughter. Maris's laugh. Half choked, half charmed.
That laugh she used to make when she caught you stealing fries from her plate, and then her shape melts into the snow. No drama, no ghosts, just gone. Behind you, the roots stop moving. The forest exhales, and the house lets go. You're standing in your hallway, your real hallway.
Lights off, fan humming, candle still burning. No whistle, no key.
Just your bare feet on cold floorboards.
And a heart that feels like it's been
returned from a long vacation. You move through the house, slowly, like you're afraid to wake it.
Everything's where you left it.
Sort of. The frames on the wall are straighter.
The dust is gone.
The front door is locked from the outside, and on your kitchen table, the red velvet book.
Closed.
The embroidery now reads, "You remembered." You flip it open.
All the names are still there.
Joseph, Elsa, Reverend Darnis. Even the widow has a page now. But there's no page for Maris. And you understand why. She's no longer part of the house's story. She's part of yours. You whisper her name again just to hear it out loud. The air doesn't change, but something inside you does. You set the book down, and for the first time in a very, very long while, you sit at the table without flinching. Outside the wind stirs, a single soft whistle, not mournful,
Not frightened.
just remembering. You smile and go to bed.
You don't dream.
Or maybe you do, but the dreams aren't in your head. They're in the walls, in the silence, in the way the fan spins like it's stirring up old weather. When you wake, it's not because of noise, it's because of stillness. Too quiet. Like the air itself forgot to move. You open your eyes. It's still night. But something is different. The red velvet book is gone. In its place, a folded note. Old paper, yellowed at the edges, torn from a ledger or journal, written in the same handwriting as the embroidered letters on the book. It says,
You lit the candle.
"Now carry the flame." You flip it over.
On the back, an address. Foreign. Handwritten in Cyrillic.
A place you don't recognize. You grab your phone, look it up. It's a town in Georgia. The country, not the state. Population 723, former Soviet mining outpost.
Famous for.
Nothing really, except one strange detail from the local tourism page. Site of the hanging house. It is said the wind here never forgets. That phrase hits different now. You make coffee. You stare at your phone screen. And after 20 minutes of trying to logic your way out of it, you book the flight.
Because obviously you're going.
You don't even question it anymore. The town is colder than it should be. It's not just the temperature, it's the light.
Everything here looks like it was filmed.
Through a 1990s crime drama filter. Grey blue skies.
Leafless trees. Streets that echo when no one's walking.
The locals eye you like you're a census mistake. You ask one shopkeeper about the hanging house. He frowns, then slowly points up a dirt road. Mona's place, he says. Wind always wrong up there. You walk. Takes you 40 minutes on foot, muddy, uphill, no sidewalks. Crows overhead, doing their best Hitchcock impression. And at the top of the hill, tucked into a slope like a buried thought, you see it. The house. Small, tilted, like it's leaning forward to hear better.
It's not hanging in the literal sense. It's just suspended, perched on 4 stone pillars.
One at each corner with nothing underneath. Wind whips between its floorboards like it's tuning an instrument.
There's no path.
Just wild grass, knee-high and whispering. You step toward it. Each blade of grass shifts when you pass, like a ripple in fabric. The front door is open.
Of course it is. Inside, it's warmer than expected.
Faint smell of cedar and something floral, lavender, maybe, or grief pretending to be perfume. The space is one room. Table, chair, bed, and a tiny wood stove that hasn't burned in years.
On the table, a photograph.
Black and white. 2 women arm in arm.
Laughing in a way that dares the future to try and break them. One of them is holding a candle.
The other has no face.
Not scratched off, just never there. Like the camera gave up halfway through.
You pick up the photo, and the wind outside screams.
Only for a second.
Then nothing. But now the air is charged. You hear something shift above.
Not footsteps.
Paper. You climb a rickety ladder tucked into the corner of the room, leading to a tiny loft. The walls are covered.
Photos, newspaper clippings, letters.
All in different languages.
All about houses.
One in Brazil that only appears on rainy Tuesdays. One in Ghana where the staircase descends into dreams.
One in Iceland that sings.
Each pinned neatly to the wall. Each tagged with the same tiny signature in the corner.
ML.
You sit. You realize what this place is. It's a listening post.
A lighthouse.
Someone, ML, was collecting house stories.
Weird ones.
Haunted ones. Forgotten ones.
And they weren't just collecting them.
They were guarding them.
From what?
You don't know. Yet. But now you see it. Tucked between a map of Poland and a postcard from Kyoto. A page torn from the red velvet book. Your name, the candle, the whistle. It's all here. Annotated in red ink with a single question.
Is this one of ours?
His skin goes cold. Because that means someone else wrote the book.
Someone is tracking the stories.
And they don't know whether yours belongs. A gust of wind rattles the walls. The photograph flutters. And you hear something under the floor.
Scraping, not footsteps. Just scraping. Deliberate.
Slow, like someone sharpening something on the underside of your thoughts. You back down the ladder. The room hasn't changed, but the candle is back.
On the table. Burning now.
You didn't light it.
No one did.
You pick it up. It's cold to the touch. The flame dances like it's trying to tell you something in Morse code.
And underneath the candle, another note.
This one reads, 2 more houses.
Then decide.
You step outside. The wind whistles through your collar.
And this time you think you hear words, not language.
But intent. The house has a job for you now. And you're not sure if that's a promotion
Or a sentence.
The candle doesn't go out, not when you walk,
Not when you breathe too close.
not even when the wind claws at your coat like a needy ghost. You carry it all the way back down the hill. The town below doesn't blink at your return, doesn't question the flickering light in your hand, or the faint outline of soot now.
Smeared across your collarbone. They've seen it before. You're just another part of the cycle.
Another thread stitched into someone else's patchwork horror story. At your hostel, you try to sleep.
You don't.
The candle burns steadily on the windowsill. By morning, the wax hasn't changed. Your phone buzzes. No messages, no missed calls, just a map app open on its own. A pin has dropped on a place you've never searched for.
Shikoku, Japan.
There's a note in the description field. Just 4 words. Go, bring the flame. You pack light. You book the ticket. You fly. The forest on Shikoku Island is dense. Not scary dense, just tired. Like it's been waiting too long for something to arrive. You follow an old path, one barely visible even with GPS. It leads to a village with no name. 9 houses, all empty, but not ruined. Each one is pristine. Clean futons. Arranged shoes by the door. Teacups still drying upside down.
No people.
No animals. Just air that tastes like pause. Your candle flickers brighter when you pass the last house. The shrine at the edge of the village is cracked.
Not broken, just opened.
A small wooden torii leans slightly left, and hanging from its center beam is a straw doll, worn, faded, smiling. You step forward.
And the wind stops.
Completely.
Like someone hit mute on the world.
Your feet crunch on old pebbles as you enter the shrine.
Inside it's dark but not empty. There's a woman, sitting,
Cross-legged on a raised platform.
eyes closed, hands resting on her knees like she's about to levitate or levitate you.
She speaks without opening her eyes. Did the flame bring you? You nod before realizing she can't see it. Or maybe she can. She finally opens one eye. Then the other. They're cloudy like boiled glass.
Thought it'd be taller, she mutters.
Reaching behind her for a bundle of old scrolls tied with crimson thread. But then houses don't choose you for height. You blink. You know She cuts you off with a noise that's somewhere between a cough and a tired prayer. You're not the first, won't be the last, but maybe you're the one who finishes. She tosses the scroll to you. The thread unwraps on its own. The parchment inside is covered in symbols you don't recognize.
Not Japanese.
Not anything you've seen before.
Somewhere between math and mourning.
She gestures. Hold the candle over it. You do. The symbols rearrange.
Right there. Right in front of you.
They shift until they form a sentence. The house that watches from below. You frown.
That's the next one?
She nods. Been waiting for it to wake up again. Last time it took a family of 5. One survived. Grew up in Osaka and never spoke again. Not a single word. The scroll folds itself back up. The woman leans back like she's done all she can.
Don't bring it here.
This place is sealed. You glance around. Sealed from what? She doesn't answer. Instead, she reaches into her sleeve and pulls out a match. Just one. She holds it out like it's a baton in a ghostly relay race.
This one's for the last house, she says.
You'll know when. You take it. It's heavier than it should be.
Like it remembers something.
You leave the shrine. The straw doll is gone.
Your candle dims for a moment, as if disappointed in you.
You whisper to it without knowing why.
And it brightens again.
On the flight back, turbulence hits mid-ocean. Your candle sits in the seatback tray wrapped in cloth, barely flickering. The woman beside you asks if you're afraid of flying. You say no. You're afraid of landing. You check your phone.
Another map pin.
This time, Kentucky, a mining town that doesn't show up on Google Maps until you zoom in past sanity. Your flame dances in approval. You know what comes next. Your boots crunch on gravel that hasn't been touched since the Cold War gave up. This place, Tiller's Hollow, isn't a town so much as a leftover. A few cabins, one rust-bitten post office, and a church with its steeple leaning like it's listening in on your secrets. The locals aren't here anymore.
You can feel that before you see it.
No animals, no birds, not even bugs, just void. The wind doesn't whistle here.
It listens.
The flame in your pocket, the candle wrapped tight in cloth, starts to glow faintly, even though you haven't unwrapped it. That's never happened before. You pass the mine shaft without looking down. The warning sign at the edge reads, "Closed due to breathing incidents."
What does that even mean?
Doesn't matter.
You're not here for the mine.
You're here for the house.
And you know which one.
At the end of a narrow dirt path, barely wider than a ghost's sigh,
There's a wooden structure.
faded yellow paint. 2 stories. Wide porch with a swing still swaying from some old wind memory.
There's something about it, something wrong.
Like it's facing the wrong direction.
You try circling it.
Doesn't matter which side you approach from. The house always presents the same angle, the same crooked face, the same door that seems to recede the closer you get. You blink and realize the porch steps weren't there a second ago.
Now they are.
Your candle hums. You take a breath.
And step up.
The inside is wrong in a soft way. Everything feels 1 inch off. Tables too low, chairs with one leg slightly longer. The walls slope inward, but subtly, like the house is leaning in to listen. You set the candle on the floor. It rolls to the wall, then stops. That's when you hear it breathing from beneath the floor, slow,
Wet.
like lungs made of dust and memory.
You crouch.
There's a hatch under a rug. No handle, just a metal ring. You hesitate,
But you know better now.
you pull it open. The hole is narrow, deep, lined with wood that's somehow dry despite decades of condensation. And at the bottom, another candle.
This one already burning. Who lit it?
Not your job to ask. You climb down. Each step creaks like it's trying to remember your weight.
Halfway down you hear voices.
Whispers, actually.
In a language you almost recognize.
Old Appalachian mixed with something far older. Something that was here before the first settler carved a name into bark and called it civilization. You reach the bottom. It's not a basement. It's a room. No, not a room.
A replica of your bedroom.
Down to the poster you tore in high school. Down to the exact crack in the wall behind your nightstand. You walk slowly.
Even the scent is right.
Dry as sheets, and that one time you spilled nail. Polish remover and tried to cover it with cologne. The flame behind you flutters. You turn. There's someone sitting on your bed. It's you.
Not a reflection. Not a twin. Just you, but wrong. Eyes too wide.
Smile too slow. The version of you that never left the house.
That never found the candle.
The one that stayed asleep. It raises a hand, waves, says nothing. You reach for the candle on the nightstand. It flickers out the moment your fingers touch it.
And the you on the bed vanishes.
Just gone. No puff, no poof. Just empty air where your second life sat blinking. You stand in the silence.
And then the room begins to melt. Not in a horror movie way.
In a we're done here kind of way. Like a set piece after curtain call. The walls drip into shadow. The furniture folds into mist.
And you're standing back in the original house.
The hatch behind you is gone.
Only the candle you brought remains. Still burning.
You wrap it again.
Step out.
As you pass the porch swing, you hear a soft thank you. You don't know if it came from the house or the version of you that got to sleep one last time. The air outside is lighter now,
Something's changed.
but not ended. The flame doesn't glow on its own anymore.
Which means
You're almost done. The match from Japan is still in your coat pocket. You feel its weight. The final house is calling. You check your phone. No map pin. Just a new wallpaper. The photo from the red velvet book. The faceless woman.
only now her face is there and it's yours.
You wake in your hotel room with your coat still on and gravel in your boots. The candle rests on the windowsill again, flickering in a rhythm that feels deliberate, like Morse code for the nearly dead. You don't have to guess where to go next. You already know. It's not on any map. It's in you now, a place your dreams try not to mention. A house you sketched in margins as a kid and told yourself wasn't real. It's the last one, the one you always knew was waiting. You drive east until the road forgets how to be asphalt, then north until the sky bruises into early morning, then walk until your phone dies and your compass spins like a drunk.
And still you know exactly where you're going.
The trees part like they've been watching for you.
And then you see it. No house.
Just absence.
An outline where a house used to be. Foundation stones. Scorched earth. Air that aches.
Your candle dims, then flares so bright it hurts your eyes. This is it. You walk across the threshold. Not made of wood, just memory.
And suddenly the house is there.
Fully formed.
Instant.
Like it appeared the second you decided it was real. 3 stories. Grey siding. Towering windows like open mouths. A door that looks like it was built to trap more than it lets out. This is the house that watches from below.
And it's awake.
You step inside and the world inverts.
No, really.
Your feet hit the ceiling. The chandelier hangs upward.
Furniture dangles from the floor, upside down and nailed in place.
Your candle floats next to you perfectly upright, like gravity has no say here. And then the whisper starts.
Low, familiar.
Your voice.
Over and over.
Saying your name like it's trying to remember you or reassemble you. Each room shifts with your thoughts. You think of a hallway, it appears. You imagine stairs, they spiral upward or downward. It's impossible to say. Your candle pulls you toward the attic. But you know better. The attic's never been the top. In these kinds of houses, the attic is always the mouth.
And the basement?
The throat. You head down. Each stair sighs like it regrets supporting you. The walls drip.
Not water.
Light.
Old golden exhausted light.
Bleeding from seams like the house is trying to hold itself together. You reach the bottom.
There's a door. No handle.
Just a keyhole. And your pocket is warm. You pull out the match. It glows, not burns, but glows, like it knows this is its only shot. You kneel. Strike it against the wall. It doesn't flare. It hums. The keyhole vanishes. The door inhales.
And opens. Inside, a room made of echo. Everything you've seen, heard, feared, it's all here.
Not physically.
Just the sensation.
The house you fled when you were 6. The whisper under the bed. The silence that grew teeth in your grandmother's basement. It's all watching you now.
But you're not here to fight.
You're here to end. You place the candle in the center of the floor.
And finally you blow it out.
The silence that follows is not silence. It's applause. You wake up outside. Grass in your mouth.
Sun in your eyes.
The house is gone. No rubble.
No scorch?
Just a small white stone where the door once stood. It reads, "This place remembers you." You check your pockets.
Nothing. Not the candle. Not the match. Not even your phone.
But somehow you know where to go next.
It's not a house. Not this time.
It's a forest clearing in Lithuania, where trees grow in perfect circles and the birds refuse to land. It's the hospital in Tunisia that closed in 1911 but still keeps one window lit. It's the train station in Argentina where all the clocks are wrong in the same way. You don't need pins anymore. The path's already lit by you. Your name has been whispered in too many corners of the world now. Every airport you pass through feels like a dream you're having about
someone else's passport.
Your reflection in bathroom mirrors looks more like a suggestion than a person. And still the path opens every time. This one starts with a postcard.
No stamp.
No handwriting. Just an image of a lake and a line printed on the back. When it freezes, the bell rings. The lake is in Norway, high up.
Almost unreachable unless you know the old railways.
And how to hop off at the right spot between tunnels. You arrive after sunset. The air bites even through your thick coat. But your skin is numb these days, not from cold, just from overuse. The lake is perfectly still, but not frozen.
Not yet.
You wait. 1 hour, then 2.
And then, like some god has finally exhaled, a soft crack.
Ice begins to web across the surface like delicate veins, and beneath it, a bell rings.
One soft tongue, like someone just tapped a cathedral harp with a feather. That's when you see the shape on the other side of the lake.
A cabin.
Tiny, crooked.
Its chimney puffing upward even though there's no fire. Your boots crunch over the ice. Each step feels watched.
And yet you are the only living thing for miles.
You reach the cabin.
Knock once.
No answer. You push the door open. The heat inside is unbearable.
A fire rages in the hearth, but there's no wood.
Just paper. Old letters, burning blue and gold. Pages from books. Postcards like the one you received. And above the fireplace, mounted like a prize, your candle.
Unlit, but not untouched.
Wax running in lines that look like maps. You step closer. The room shifts. Now there are people, sitting in chairs around you, watching, but they don't breathe, don't blink.
Dolls? No, too natural for that. Taxidermy.
Worse, too recent. You count them, 7. Each one holding something, a feather, a spoon, a shoelace, a coin, a tooth, a mirror.
And a single match.
The 7th turns its head, just slightly.
Its hand opens.
Revealing the match. You reach for it.
And the room erupts in whispers. Every language.
Every tone. The chorus of don't do, stay, leave, remember, forget. You take the match. The others freeze again.
You light the candle. It doesn't burn.
It sings, a deep humming note that fills your ears and bones.
And then you see it. Not the cabin.
Not the people, but yourself. Sitting in a subway car, alone, watching a reflection that doesn't match your movements. A reminder,
you've been here before, not in this cabin.
But in this feeling that you are doing something important and possibly not for the first time. The candle flickers once.
Then steadies, and the cabin is empty again. Just you, and the candle.
And the lake, now thawing behind you as if it had no business being frozen at all. You walk back the way you came, only to find the rail line gone. Not just empty, gone. The forest fills in behind you like you were never there.
You don't panic.
This is the 10th time you've lost an exit. By now you understand, places like this aren't
meant to be left. They release you when they're done. And this place is done.
You follow the candlelight east, towards something bigger.
A storm, a structure, a reunion.
You don't know what waits.
Only that you've already lit the match that will start the end.
The storm arrives before you do. Lightning flickers in the clouds like it's searching for something. Thunder rolls in slow waves, not cracking, commenting. You descend into the valley with your candle tucked inside your coat. The rain doesn't touch you. It curves away like the sky's afraid to put out your flame. Ahead, a stone archway, carved with symbols that feel both familiar and unreadable. One of them glows faintly, the one that looks a bit like a sideways eye. You pass beneath. Immediately your breath fogs.
Not from cold.
From altitude.
But you're not on a mountain.
You're in the tower. Not a building exactly.
A place that climbs into itself.
Each floor stacked on the one below, but always feeling further from Earth than the last.
You start to climb.
No stairs, just a spiraling slope. Each level, a different memory.
Not yours. Someone else's.
An abandoned piano room, still echoing with unfinished melodies. A tiled hospital corridor stained with prayers written in iodine. A child's bedroom fully intact except every toy stares at the door. You don't linger. You know which floor is waiting. It's the 33rd. You feel it as soon as you step onto it.
No sound.
No temperature.
Just wait.
The candle pulls forward on its own. The room ahead is circular. Walls made of mirrors but not reflecting you.
Instead, images of the candle's journey.
The monastery where you found it.
The houses you burned it in.
The lives it touched and erased.
You realize now it's not a candle.
It's a memory engine, a bridge. Each time you lit it, you offered a path. And something took it. And now the final room. In the center, a chair. Wooden, simple, facing a wall with no mirror. Instead, there's a window. Through it you see nothing, or maybe everything blurred.
Static snow like an old TV caught between channels.
You sit. The candle hovers to your hand.
And the match, the final match, appears on the armrest.
You don't remember placing it there, but of course it's yours. You strike it. The candle lights. The window clears.
And you see a face,
Your face.
not as you are now, not tired, not weathered, as you were before.
Before all this, before the whispers, before the flame,
Innocent, curious, just you.
you raise the candle. The window flares.
And suddenly,
You remember all of it. Every version of you that has ever held this flame.
every time you relit it,
Every time you offered it as a way out.
and the way in,
Because the truth is, this candle doesn't burn away ghosts. It collects them.
and now you are full, overfull,
You open your mouth to speak, and 1,000 voices tumble out.
none of them yours.
And one, very clearly, is asking for help.
You blow out the candle,
The tower doesn't collapse. It sighs.
as if finally someone finished the sentence it's been waiting centuries to end.
The walls soften. The mirrors shatter silently, and the chair begins to dissolve beneath you.
You're not falling, you're descending.
Back to yourself. Back to whatever waits outside this tower that was never on any map.
And always in your sleep.
When you land, softly, like a feather on a closed book, you're back in the archway. The storm is gone. The candle is gone. And in your pocket, a small wax seal.
Unlit, unbreakable, waiting.
The seal is warm.
Not burning, just alive. It pulses gently like a second heartbeat.
And every now and then, you swear you can hear it, humming, a lullaby with no language, no end. You hike toward the coastline, unsure who told you that was the way. But when you reach the cliffs, you understand. Below, carved into the stone, is a village.
One you've never seen, but that already knows you.
There's no road down, just a path of candles, not lit, just waiting. Each one is the same shape as yours.
As if every person who's carried the flame has ended up here.
You descend,
It takes hours.
and with each step, the seal grows heavier. By the time you reach the first house, your pocket feels like it holds a small planet. The village is silent.
Not abandoned, just paused.
Shutters hang halfway closed. Teacups rest on windowsills, still warm. Doors creak as if someone just stepped out. You walk past them all. Drawn to the center.
Oh well,
Black stone. No rope, no bucket. Just a mouth waiting to be fed. You take the seal from your pocket. Hold it over the well. It doesn't fall.
it melts.
Drips into the void like wax into a mold it was always meant for. And the village breathes. Doors open.
Windows blink.
And the people begin to return.
Not walking,
Not ghostly.
just there.
Like they had always been there, just behind a veil. A man in a wool coat nods at you, then returns to peeling an orange.
A woman hums a tune that sounds like your match's flare.
A child skips by holding a feather and a coin. None of them say your name, but you're known. You sit beside the well.
And wait,
For night. For what's next.
but that nothing comes.
Because this is the next. You've ended the trail. The candle's work is done.
You're not the keeper now.
You're the keeper's memory.
A new candle will appear.
To someone else. In some other lonely room. In another part of the world where the dark has grown. Too quiet and a whisper feels like an invitation.
And they'll follow it.
Because they always do. Because they're called.
And you?
You'll rest. In this impossible village. Where time walks barefoot and no one ever locks their doors.
You're part of it now.
Another story whispered at midnight. Another light seen from a train window and dismissed as nothing. Another shape at the corner of someone's dream.
And if you ever miss the journey,
Just close your eyes. You'll hear the match.
you'll feel the flame, and maybe, just maybe, you'll walk again.
But for now the sea is calm, and the house no longer whistles.
Because it has nothing left to say, only silence.
The soft kind, the kind that tucks you in. Word count 122. 300-word ending summary. So you made it. Through the monastery, the wax-soaked letters, the house with no mouth, and the tower that didn't fall. You walked roads that don't exist. Opened doors that only respond to questions you didn't mean to ask. And lit a candle that may have known more about you than your own bones. And now it's quiet, which is strange, isn't it?
After all that,
But that's the trick of these stories. They don't end with screams or thunder or some terrible lesson. They end with space, with breath, with the soft patter of unseen footsteps on cold stone.
And a whisper that isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to tuck you in. And maybe the candle will come back to you one day. Maybe not.
Maybe it's on someone else's nightstand right now, humming gently beneath a mug of water, waiting to be noticed. But one thing is certain. You've left something behind.
A little trail, a scent on the wind.
A half-finished word in a language no one speaks anymore.
And that's enough. So wherever you are, whatever time it is, whatever room you're in,
Let your eyes soften. Let your breathing slow. Let the darkness do what it was always meant to do.
hold you, not harm you. And remember,
If you ever hear a whistle where there shouldn't be one,
don't be afraid. It just means the house remembers you too.